He trusted me completely. Your Honor, those transfers were gifts, not theft whatsoever.
Gifts don't drain life-saving months. They expose calculated exploitation, Miss Palmieri.
You're twisting kindness into crime because an old man's memory can't defend me.
His memory faded, but bank cameras remember every withdrawal you made alone, clearly.
I cared for him daily while his family vanished. I earned everything given.
You didn't earn it, you hunted vulnerability, and this courtroom protects heroes.
Imagine you're 91 years old. You survived combat in Korea. You watched friends die. You came home, worked 40 years as a teacher, making $32,000 a year, and saved every penny, $100 a month for 50 years, through recessions, through your wife's Alzheimer's, through everything. You end up with $50,000, your safety net, your dignity. Now imagine someone you trusted takes every dollar in 147 days, not for survival, but for a BMW. Designer handbags, a Cancun vacation where she posted "Living my best life." On November 3rd, 2025, that woman walked into my courtroom. What happened next went viral with 47 million views and got her 6 years in prison. But there's something she did that didn't make the news. Something so cruel that when I found out, I had to take a recess because I couldn't control my anger. Hit subscribe. This story will make you furious, then make you believe in justice again. Harold Eugene Thompson. Born 1934 outside Pittsburgh. His father worked steel mills. His mother took in laundry. Harold enlisted in 1952, served in Korea as a combat medic, ran into gunfire to save wounded soldiers. During the Battle of White Horse Mountain, his unit was ambushed. 17 men wounded. Harold ran through enemy fire 6 times. The 6th time, shrapnel tore through his leg and shoulder. He still pulled that soldier to cover before collapsing. Purple Heart, Bronze Star with valor. He came home in 1953, married Dorothy Ann Williams, became a high school math teacher, 38 years teaching algebra for $32,000 a year, drove a 1987 Honda until it hit 340,000 miles. Dorothy was his everything. 3 children, 5 grandchildren. She developed Alzheimer's in 2019. Harold cared for her himself for 4 years. She died in his arms, March 3rd, 2023. After Dorothy passed, Harold lived alone in their Culver City 2-bedroom. Early-stage dementia, arthritis, shrapnel still causing daily pain. His children lived out of state, Maine, Texas, Oregon. They called every Sunday, visited when possible, but worried constantly. Harold's monthly income, $2,247, Social Security plus small teacher's pension. His only asset, that savings account. $50,000 saved $100 at a time over 50 years. Every sacrifice, every vacation they didn't take, every luxury they went without. That money was his independence. That's who Harold Thompson was when Jessica Palmieri knocked on his door in March 2025. Jessica Marie Palmieri, age 38, professional caregiver, on paper, perfect, glowing references, clean background check. But the background check didn't show her pattern. 4 agencies in 6 years. She'd gained trust of elderly clients, access their finances, take what she could, move on. She'd done it 3 times before. Jessica lived in Sherman Oaks, leased Mercedes, unemployed boyfriend Marcus. She loved designer clothes, expensive restaurants, Vegas weekends. Caregiver job paid $45,000 yearly, but she spent like 6 figures. She needed money constantly, and she knew exactly how to get it from people who couldn't fight back. When Susan Thompson contacted Golden Years in March 2025, she needed someone patient, kind, trustworthy for her father 4 days weekly. She mentioned his dementia, his age, his Purple Heart. Her father was a proud man who hated feeling helpless. The agency sent Jessica. Jessica knew exactly what to do. March 18th, 2025. Jessica arrived with homemade chocolate chip cookies, simple clothes, no makeup, ponytail, looked like somebody's daughter. Mr. Thompson, I'm Jessica. I'm here to make your life easier. First month, she was perfect. Cooked his favorites, pot roast, mashed potatoes, apple pie, cleaned until the house sparkled, organized medications, drove him to appointments, listened to his Korea stories, Dorothy stories, teaching stories, laughed at his jokes, called him Papa Harold. Harold's children were relieved, someone their father trusted, Susan called Jessica personally. "You're an angel. I don't know what we'd do without you." Jessica sent weekly photos to the kids. Harold smiling, Harold gardening, Harold looking happy and cared for. The Thompsons felt the weight lift. Week 6, everything changed. April 29th, 2025. Jessica was helping Harold organize paperwork. She asked casually, "Papa Harold, do you have someone managing your finances? I want to make sure bills get paid on time." Harold, trusting and confused, showed his checkbook, bank statements. Jessica saw it, the savings balance, $50,216. She thought, "Yeah, this old man doesn't need this money. He lives on nothing. This is just sitting there. He won't notice if some goes missing, and if he does, his dementia means nobody will believe him." The predator emerged. May 2025. Jessica started small, told Harold she was grocery shopping, needed anything. He gave her a check for $200. She bought $73 in groceries, pocketed the rest. Harold never asked for change. His dementia made him forget he'd given the check. Week later, Jessica said his water heater might need replacing. "I can call a plumber I trust." Harold, worried, wrote a $500 check. No plumber came. Harold forgot within 2 days. Jessica realized Harold's dementia was progressing faster than his children knew. He forgot conversations within hours. He trusted Jessica completely. His children called once weekly, visited every few months. Perfect victim. June 2025, Jessica's big move. She sat Harold down, serious expression. "Papa Harold, what if something happens and you need money quickly? What if you're hospitalized and can't reach the bank? You should add someone you trust to your account, just for emergencies." Harold, scared of being helpless, agreed. Jessica drove him to the bank that afternoon, brought paperwork already filled out. Harold signed where she indicated. He didn't understand he was making her an authorized signer on his savings. He thought it was emergency contact information. The bank teller looked uncomfortable. "Mr. Thompson, do you understand what you're signing?" Harold, embarrassed, not wanting to seem incompetent. Yes, of course." Jessica squeezed his hand and smiled. That signature gave her everything. Next day, Jessica transferred $3,500 from Harold's savings to her checking. She told herself it was a loan. She'd pay it back, just needed it temporarily for bills. She spent it in 4 days. Hair salon, new clothes, expensive steakhouse dinner with Marcus, casino trip, lost $800 playing blackjack. July 2025, floodgates opened. Jessica transferred $8,000, told Harold it was property taxes. Harold didn't own property anymore, paid off his house in 1998, but he was confused and believed her. She transferred another $12,000 2 weeks later for special medical equipment his doctor recommended. No equipment purchased. August 2025, Jessica went into a frenzy. Transferred $5,500 in 3 transactions over 2 weeks, different emergencies each time, roof repair, new furnace, medical bills. Harold's dementia was bad enough that he forgot each conversation immediately. She bought a BMW X5, $47,000, put down $22,000 cash, financed the rest, told her boyfriend she got a promotion, posted car photos on Instagram. Dreams do come true. September 2025. Final extraction. Jessica transferred the remaining $11,000 in 2 transactions. Harold's account went from $5,216 to $247 in 147 days. Nearly everything saved in half a century gone. Jessica booked Cancun with Marcus. All-inclusive resort, first-class flights, week drinking on the beach, 47 social media photos, sunset cocktails, infinity pool, room service, designer bikini, holding a margarita, living my best life. While posting those photos, Harold sat in his house eating ramen noodles because he thought he was broke. He didn't understand what happened. He just knew it was gone. September 23rd, 2025. Harold's bank called. Automated message, account balance critically low. Harold, confused, called customer service. Representatives said his savings had $247 remaining. Harold was certain it was a mistake. "I have $50,000 in that account. I've had it for years." The representative checked. "Sir, I'm showing multiple withdrawals and transfers over 5 months. Your balance is definitely $247. Harold hung up, terrified and confused. He thought he was losing his mind. thought his dementia was worse than he knew. He sat at his kitchen table and cried. The bank mailed full transaction history. Arrived September 26th. Harold opened it with shaking hands, page after page of withdrawals, all made by Jessica Palmieri. Harold called Susan, crying so hard she could barely understand. Honey, I think Jessica stole my money, but I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe I gave it to her. I don't know what's real anymore. Susan's blood went cold. Dad, don't move. I'm getting on a plane right now. Susan arrived 8 hours later. Harold was in his recliner, same clothes from 2 days earlier. Looked like he'd aged 10 years. Transaction history spread across the coffee table. Susan read every page. 47 transactions, $50,000 gone, all to Jessica Palmieri. Susan called Jessica's cell. Jessica answered cheerfully. Hi, Susan. How are you? What did you do to my father? Susan's voice shook with rage. Jessica's tone changed. Cold, defensive. I don't know what you're talking about. You stole $50,000 from him. I didn't steal anything. Papa Harold gave me that money. He wanted to help me. He insisted. My father lives on $2,800 a month. He doesn't have money to give away, especially not $50,000. Well, that's between Harold and me. He's an adult. He can do what he wants. He has dementia. You took advantage of a sick elderly man. Jessica laughed, actually laughed. Prove it. Then hung up and blocked Susan's number. Next morning, Susan drove to LA County Sheriff's Department and filed a report. Detective Maria Gonzalez was assigned, 19-year veteran specializing in elder abuse. She'd seen everything, but Harold's case shocked even her by its brazenness. Detective Gonzalez subpoenaed Jessica's bank records, interviewed Harold, collected transaction history, reviewed Jessica's social media, Cancun photos, BMW photos, designer shopping bags, built an airtight case. October 15th, 2025. Detective Gonzalez arrested Jessica at her apartment. Jessica was in pajamas drinking coffee. What is this about? You're under arrest for elder abuse, grand theft, financial exploitation of a dependent adult, and fraud. Jessica's face went pale. This is a misunderstanding. Harold gave me that money. Tell it to the judge. November 3rd, 2025. 10:17 a.m. My courtroom, case CV 2025-087453, The People versus Jessica Marie Palmieri. Harold sat in the front row in his wheelchair. Navy blue blazer, purple heart and bronze star pinned to his chest. Daughter Susan beside him, holding his hand. Sons Michael and Robert flew in from Texas and Oregon. The entire family was there. Jessica sat at the defendant's table with her public defender. Conservative gray dress, minimal makeup, hair in a bun. Brought her elderly mother to sit behind her. Classic sympathy play. I reviewed the case file. Bank statements showing systematic depletion, withdrawal slips with forged signatures, bank surveillance footage showing Jessica making transactions alone, text messages between Jessica and boyfriend discussing extra money, Cancun photos, luxury purchase receipts. Evidence was overwhelming. Susan's opening statement. Your Honor, my father is a Korean War veteran, Purple Heart recipient, worked 38 years as a public school teacher, saved $100 monthly for 50 years, lived modestly his entire life for security in old age. The defendant systematically stole every penny over 5 months while he trusted her to care for him. She exploited his dementia, forged signatures, lied repeatedly, then spent his money on luxury items while he ate ramen noodles and thought he was going insane. We're asking for full restitution of $50,000, plus interest, plus punitive damages, plus court costs. Also, that Ms. Palmieri be reported to the state licensing board and permanently barred from working with vulnerable adults. Jessica's attorney argued these were gifts freely given by Harold, who considered her like family. No theft, no coercion. Harold wanted to help Jessica improve her life. I looked at him over my glasses. Counselor, are you seriously arguing that a 91-year-old man living on $2,800 monthly gifted $50,000 to his caregiver of 5 months? Your Honor, I understand it seems unusual. It doesn't seem unusual. It seems impossible. But proceed. Jessica took the stand, started crying immediately, described Harold as like a grandfather. Connection from day one. She loved him. Did Mr. Thompson give you money? Yes, but I tried to refuse. He insisted. He wanted to help me go to nursing school. I interrupted. Are you currently enrolled in nursing school? Not yet, Your Honor. So you took $50,000 for tuition and haven't enrolled? I needed to pay off debts. What debts? From buying a BMW? She went silent. Did Harold know you were transferring money? We discussed it, yes. I picked up the bank surveillance transcript. You made 17 withdrawals while he wasn't present. Bank cameras show you alone 12 times. How did you discuss these if he wasn't there? We talked beforehand. All 47 transactions. Harold has documented dementia. His doctor testified his short-term memory is severely impaired. He forgets conversations within hours. You're telling me he remembered 47 financial discussions? He was having a good period. Medical records show his condition was deteriorating rapidly while you were taking his money. She cried harder. I loved Papa Harold. I would never hurt him. Stop. I took off my glasses. I've been on this bench 43 years. What you're doing is insulting to this court and every elder abuse victim. I stood up. The courtroom went silent. Ms. Palmieri, look at Harold Thompson. She reluctantly turned. That man earned his Purple Heart saving wounded soldiers under enemy fire. He became a teacher, 38 years for $32,000 yearly, saved $100 monthly for 50 years through every sacrifice. His wife got Alzheimer's. He cared for her himself. After she died, he was alone, vulnerable, heartbroken. That's when you showed up. Jessica sobbed. You didn't see a human being. You saw an opportunity. An elderly man with dementia and $50,000. You thought, he won't remember. Nobody will believe him. I held up her Instagram photos. While Harold ate ramen wondering if he was losing his mind, you posted Cancun photos, living my best life. On a veteran's life savings. You forged his signature. We have proof. You made withdrawals when he wasn't present. We have surveillance. You texted your boyfriend about windfall money. We have your texts. I walked down and stood directly in front of her. The worst part? Not the money. It's what you did to his mind. Made him think he was crazy. Took away his dignity. That makes you not just a thief, but a predator. I am finding you guilty of elder financial abuse, grand theft, fraud, forgery, and financial exploitation. You will pay full restitution of $50,000 plus $18,000 in interest plus $15,000 in punitive damages plus court costs. Total $88,500. I am permanently banning you from working with vulnerable adults in California. I am forwarding this case to the DA with my personal recommendation for criminal prosecution. I am sending a full report to every elder care licensing board in the country. I went back to my bench. You came here thinking you could cry and walk away, but I see what you are, a predator who targets the most vulnerable, someone who saw a Purple Heart recipient and thought victim, not hero. I picked up my gavel. Get out of my courtroom. I hope you think about Harold Thompson every single day. I hope you see his face when you try to sleep. I slammed the gavel. Case dismissed. Judgment for the plaintiff. The courtroom erupted in applause. Harold was crying. His daughter was crying. Even my bailiff had tears. Jessica was escorted out with her head down. The photographers got their shots. She looked destroyed. 3 hours later, the video went online. By evening, 3 million views. By morning, 20 million. Within 72 hours, 47 million people watched. Comments poured in. This is why we need Judge Judy. Finally, real justice. I'm crying watching this. Protect our veterans at all costs. Justice for Harold trended on Twitter for 3 days. But here's what happened that you didn't see. 2 weeks after the civil verdict, the LA County DA filed criminal charges: elder abuse, felony; grand theft, felony; fraud, forgery; financial exploitation. She faced up to 12 years in state prison. Her trial was fast. Evidence from my courtroom was submitted. The jury saw bank records, Instagram photos. Harold testifying, frail and confused about how she made him think he was losing his mind. Jury deliberated 1 hour, 47 minutes. Guilty on all counts. Judge Patricia Morrison sentenced her to 6 years in state prison. Ms. Palmieri, you are a danger to the most vulnerable members of our society. This sentence reflects the severity of your crimes and the complete lack of remorse you've shown. Jessica broke down completely. 6 years. She'd be 44 when she got out. But wait, remember I said there was something she did that didn't make the news? Something so cruel I had to take a recess? Here it is. During investigation, Detective Gonzalez found something else. Jessica had taken photos of Harold's Purple Heart and Bronze Star medals without his knowledge, posted them on a military memorabilia forum asking if they were worth anything. She was trying to sell his medals, his Purple Heart, the medal he earned with his blood. When I found out during a sidebar, I had to excuse myself. I went to my chambers and cried with rage. This woman wasn't just stealing his money. She was trying to sell the physical symbols of his sacrifice and valor. Harold never knew. We kept it from him. No reason to hurt him more than he'd already been hurt. Those medals are still in his possession, in a shadow box on his wall now at the assisted living facility where he lives. Now here's where it gets beautiful. The day after my verdict went viral, something remarkable happened. Retired Marine Sergeant David Chen saw the video, posted it to a veterans Facebook group. This is what they did to one of our own. We need to take care of him. Within 24 hours, veterans nationwide started a GoFundMe. Justice for Harold Thompson, Help a Hero. Goal was $50,000 to replace what Jessica stole. They raised $127,000 in 2 weeks. Harold refused at first. I don't deserve this. I was just doing my duty. Susan finally convinced him. Dad, people want to help you. Let them. You've spent your whole life serving others. Let others serve you now. Harold took $50,000 to replace his stolen savings. He donated the remaining $77,000 to the Alzheimer's Association in Dorothy's memory. The local veterans organization honored him at a ceremony. 300 people attended. A retired Army general presented him with a commemorative plaque. They played the national anthem. Harold stood at attention, hand over heart, tears streaming. Today, Harold lives in a beautiful assisted living facility in Culver City. His children pooled together to pay for it. Around-the-clock care, weekly social events with other veterans, surrounded by people who treat him with dignity and respect. I visited him 3 months ago, brought chocolate chip cookies, the kind Dorothy used to make. We sat in the common room and talked for an hour. Korea stories, Dorothy stories, his students. At the end, he took my hand. Thank you for seeing me. Thank you for believing me. Thank you for making sure she couldn't do this to anyone else. I told him he didn't need to thank me. I was just doing my job. He shook his head. No, you did more than your job. You gave me back my dignity. I cried driving home that day. Here's what I need you to understand. Elder financial abuse is the fastest growing crime in America. $3 billion is stolen from seniors yearly, $3 billion. And 95% of cases are never reported because victims are too ashamed, too confused, or too scared. Jessica Palmieri wasn't an anomaly. She was a symptom of a much larger problem. There are thousands like her right now, targeting vulnerable elderly people, stealing their life savings, and getting away with it. So what can you do? If you have elderly parents or grandparents, please protect them. Here's how. Never allow caregivers access to bank accounts, ever. Set up automatic bill pay so there's no reason for anyone to help with finances. Review bank statements every single month. Look for unusual withdrawals or transfers. Install security cameras in common areas. Do thorough background checks on anyone you hire, not just the agency's background check, your own. Talk to your elderly loved ones regularly, not just "how are you" calls. Real conversations where you're paying attention to their mental state and daily life. Most importantly, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Investigate, ask questions. Don't be afraid to be overprotective when it comes to vulnerable people. Harold's case became a symbol because people are tired of seeing predators abuse the elderly, tired of seeing veterans treated like targets instead of heroes, tired of justice being too slow or too lenient. When I slammed that gavel and told Jessica Palmieri to get out, I wasn't just ruling on one case. I was sending a message to every person who thinks they can exploit vulnerable people without consequences. You can't. Not in my courtroom. Not anywhere. Justice isn't automatic. It doesn't just happen because we have laws and courts and judges. Justice happens because people choose to make it happen. Susan chose to fight for her father. Detective Gonzalez chose to build an airtight case. The veterans who donated chose to take care of their own. The jury chose guilty. Judge Morrison chose a real sentence with real consequences. Every single person made a choice, and those choices added up to justice. You have that power too. Maybe you're not a judge or detective or prosecutor, but you can protect the elderly in your life. You can report abuse when you see it. You can stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. That's what this story is really about. Choosing to do the right thing even when it's difficult, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it would be easier to look away. Harold Thompson chose to serve his country at 18, chose to run into gunfire to save wounded soldiers, chose to spend 38 years teaching kids, chose to take care of Dorothy through 4 years of Alzheimer's, chose dignity and service his entire life. The least we can do is choose to protect people like him. If this story moved you, if you believe our veterans and elderly deserve protection and dignity, I need you to do 4 things. First, subscribe to this channel. I have more stories like this. Stories about justice. Stories about people who thought they were above the law and found out they weren't. Stories that will make you angry and then make you believe in the system again. Second, leave a comment. Tell me about a time you stood up for someone who couldn't stand up for themselves. Tell me about an elderly person in your life who deserves protection. Tell me your thoughts on this case. Third, share this video. Send it to someone who works with elderly people. Send it to someone who has aging parents. Send it to someone who needs to be reminded that predators exist and we all have a responsibility to protect the vulnerable. And fourth, watch the next video about to pop up on your screen. It's about a landlord who tried to evict a disabled veteran and his therapy dog. What I did to that landlord will shock you. Another story about justice, courage, and making sure people who abuse power face real consequences. Thank you for watching this entire story. Thank you for caring about Harold Thompson. Thank you for believing our veterans deserve better. Thank you for being the kind of person who watches a 22-minute video about justice and stays until the very end. That tells me something about you. You're someone who cares, someone who believes in doing the right thing, someone who understands we're all responsible for protecting the most vulnerable among us. The world needs more people like you. God bless Harold Thompson. God bless our veterans. God bless everyone who chooses justice over indifference. And remember, in my courtroom, there are no special people. There are no untouchables. There is only the law, the truth, and the accountability that every single person deserves. Thank you for being here.